Hello, this is HQ Cap back with another 1v1 video. Today I'm playing on Coin Flip versus Kublier the Source. This map is kind of interesting. It gets divided up into 4 quadrants, as we'll see later this game. There's some forest tiles kind of blocking my movement here from the right side to the left. And then there's some other forest kind of dividing the top half of the map from the bottom half of the map. And those forests kind of act to slow down vehicles, especially as I'm moving through those 3 forests in the middle from right to left, and my opponent from left to right, as his home base and his factories are kind of in that top left of the map. My factories are in the bottom right corner of the map. And so it's easier for me to move vertically as well as him. We can move through that 1 forest section easier than the 3 forest tiles all in a row. I'm just starting out with an APC and a heavy infantry, so I can respond to whatever he decides to do at the start of the game. The middle area also features these mountains and our HQs, so gaining control of the middle area with some ranged units can be a really powerful way to put pressure on your opponent, as you can start trying to cap their HQ fairly early in the game, if you get lucky, or if you put enough units and pressure in that area. So you kind of have to balance 3 areas. He's going to be pushing down to the bottom left. I'm going to be pushing up to the top right, as we see here. And then we're both going to try to contest across those areas. So my infantry that I just built scouts, my heavy infantry, make sure that he cannot finish capturing that next turn. I'm continuing to pump out infantry, as infantry are great on this map. You have 3 factories to pump out a lot of units. And as long as you have APCs to move them, they'll have plenty of mobility. I'm popping the infantry booster to get a jump on him. I'm hoping he doesn't have multiple units ready to engage my infantry capturing that city on the left. As long as he only has 1 unit, I'm guaranteed to capture that city. And so I'm responding to his capturing on the top right with defensive play and then being aggressive on the bottom left. So it looks like he put a ranger somewhere up on the top right. He has a probe to attack my infantry, and we'll see if he has anything to follow up. He does his infantry booster, which doesn't really help this infantry up there out much, because it's going to get killed by my heavy infantry and my light infantry in the top right. He did not have a unit to follow up that attack with the probe, so I'm guaranteed to capture this city. And that probe now has to either choose to sit there and get hit by my heavy infantry, or run away and come back into the game later. At this point in the game, I was kind of surprised as to why he did that infantry booster here, as he only has this infantry capturing a building, and it's kind of a waste, as he should know that that infantry is dead. I aggressively move up my light infantry, get in range of his ranger, and now that ranger is in an awkward position where either he has to move next turn to get out of the way of my light infantry, or it can stay there, kill my heavy infantry, but then get retaliated at by my light infantry. And here's some good APC placement. I was able to drop my heavy infantry off the previous turn. Now I'm loading up a unit I just brought so that APC is staying full, keeping the potential for counterattacks available for me. Now I have another APC with a ranger in it, so I have 2 APCs ready to go, ready to respond to whatever he does. Now here's where the range units come into play. Putting a ranger in this forest, so he has no way of seeing this ranger, and I'll be able to attack across the map at his ranger if he moves it on that mountain. So his ranger's in a bad spot right now. The other part of this map is this water feature on the top and bottom, and that lets probes actually be very effective for you trying to counteract your opponent's push. So you see on his side of the map in that top right, he's got those 3 forest tiles blocking the area from his factories to the right side. I have the same situation on the bottom, but the probes can easily cross the water areas, and we'll see some of that later in the game. For now, I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling good. I have an economic advantage as I use my infantry booster to capture that city on the left, and I prevented his capture of that city in the top right. And we'll see how he responds. So he's leaving his probe here, which I think is a mistake, because now I'm set up with a heavy infantry and a ranger. I could kill that probe next turn if I want to. He moves the ranger to the mountains, which kind of falls into my trap. I'm able to keep my light infantry aggressive, hitting his ranger there. and I have a couple options. I can now use my ranger down low to hit his ranger, or use it to help this heavy infantry finish off this probe. I decide to go for the ranger on the mountain. I feel like that's the larger threat, and I can also get an aggressive play off here and put some pressure on him mentally and get a heavy infantry capturing his headquarters, which will force him to respond and hopefully overreact to my HQ cap. As really at this stage in the game, I don't have a good chance of capturing his HQ, but I can threaten it. At this point, I'm deciding whether to leave my APC down 1 square or move it onto the city and drop the ranger on the mountain. If I leave it down 1 square, that heavy infantry I just built the previous turn can move into that APC and be able to react next turn. But this ranger on the mountain gets such a massive range, as we'll see here. I can hit all 4 of these units that I see. And so these mountains really let you control the middle of the map and decrease your opponent's circulation through that middle area, especially if you have scouting units like I do here. I'm going to pull my heavy infantry back. I need to heal it up before it's going to be useful. It really doesn't have a lot to do at 3 HP. My rangers are doing a good job controlling areas here, denying my opponent positions. I'm going to build a probe to help harass that left side of the map as those 3 forest tiles clog things up, but the probe is able to zoom across the water and hopefully prevent him from capturing my city on the left side. As you see there, there's that blue infantry just camping outside it. So I have the HQ cap going, and I'm looking at the funds. I've been tracking the funds from the previous turns, and I'm pretty sure he's built a more powerful unit, as we'll see here in a little bit. He either went with a gunner or a light mech, and so I'm kind of worried about that gunner or light mech going down the left side, as there's not a lot of things I have to deal with those units, other than that 1 heavy infantry that's already damaged. Probe's really not going to cut it. So hopefully my headquarters capture here will distract him. You see there he has 8 units, I have 11, and that unit discrepancy is not just because I killed a unit of his, it's because he's invested those funds into a more expensive unit like a gunner or light mech. You also see on the charges I have 4 now, he only has 2, so I've killed 2 of his units, he's killed 1 of mine so far. Here's that capture going off, more heavy infantry being spotted. Boom, here's the gunner that I was anticipating, and luckily it goes for my headquarters, which really puts in a position to do not much these next couple turns. I stop his capture here, and then to my surprise he snuck an infantry down on the bottom left, and that's why he had that infantry booster earlier in the game. He actually had 2 captures going on. And here we'll see more unit conservation. I'm blocking his gunner in with APCs. His gunners really can't do a lot versus the APCs. And I'm combining my heavy infantry, so 2-3 health becomes 1 6 HP unit, which both gives me a more powerful unit and denies him those powers or those charges if he had killed either one of those 3 HP heavy infantries. I also have a pretty secure capture going on here. So you see my infantry's on his city. The only way to get there is with a probe, which I'm counting out here. The other option for this turn was to leave those heavy infantry split as 2 3 HP infantries, block the bottom with the heavy infantry that you see there at 6 HP, and then block the top of that city with my 3 HP heavy infantry. But I'm gambling that he does not have a probe, and that I will get that city regardless. And so I'm denying him those charges that he would have been able to get by killing those heavy infantry units. And then now I'm kind of counting out squares. I built that infantry on the right to go try to take that city in the top right. We saw there, it was pretty quick, but here's another look. I have 13 units to his 8. Things are going pretty well in my favor. He's clearly building another more powerful unit like a light mech or a gunner or an artillery to try to bring the game back in his favor, which on this map I feel is a mistake. You really need a good base of infantry. Then you can start building those more powerful units to supplement, as there's a lot of force that just slow those bigger units down. So the replay we're watching here on this turn is going to be my full turn. We're going to do something a little different. Instead of fast forwarding through the replay of my actions, we're going to take a look at how long it really takes me to do a full turn. We'll even have some cuts in between where I'm doing some calculations on the side. As there's damage units that I'm trying to combo their firepower, I'm going to see like what damage I can actually get. Certain times in Warbits, there'll be damage units will actually take additional damage. So there's some calculations you'll want to do sometimes before you actually take your turn. And you can just create a custom game and get the units on the same defense tiles and get the same units at the same health, and then just see what happens. So my Rangers, as you see, and I've said before, are in great positions. They have a lot of targets to choose from. I'm capturing this city, so I'm going through the obvious decisions first. Now I'm kind of getting to where I have to make some tougher calls. Do I leave this 3 HP heavy infantry here and attack to get 2 more charges, bring me up to 10, which is great, but leave it to die? What does this Ranger on this mountain do? Because it has a lot of options. Do I need to attack this light infantry here on the left to defend my position in the middle? And then what do I do with this probe here? Is there's this light mech, which will definitely kill my probe unless I kind of run it back either on the HQ or back to the right side of the map. And so here I'm just, again, glancing at this point in the game. Despite me being up in units, being up in charges, I'm always fearful that I'm going to make an error, as in Warbits, one error can really come back and bite you. And so I'm calculating, looking at all my options, taking my time, and that's a really good thing to do with your turns. Take your time. There's no rush. You should be able to calculate all your moves and choose the best one with the proper amount of planning. So I decide to use that Ranger, shoot the light infantry, bring it down to 4 HP. Then again, that protects my center. So here I just did some calculations to see how much damage certain units would do. What do I need to do with my probe? Can that probe survive on this headquarters versus a 4 HP infantry? Even though that seems like an obvious yes, I wanted to double check to make sure there wasn't some interaction where that light infantry was able to kill my 2 HP probe. I have my light infantry here, now supporting my push on the top right. It can either come more towards the middle if needed, or push all the way to that city in the top right, which I have yet to capture. Again, checking funds, checking units. He's still building more powerful units. At this point, I kind of calculated, because he only built 1 unit last turn, for 600 or 6,500 funds, it has to be an artillery. So he's got an artillery on this factory or that factory in the bottom left. Just double checking there to confirm. Again, we saw I had 10 charges. He only has 4, so I have a great charge lead. You could even use a range booster to boost some of the power of my Rangers next turn if I wanted to, or a cash out to get more powerful units on the field if needed. I have to decide what I do with this APC. I can use it to load this heavy infantry in, or I can continue to block that gunner. Part of my calculations in the breaks was to see if that gunner with 9 HP could one-shot my infantry on that city. I found out that he couldn't. The gunner will only be able to take down that light infantry down to 1 HP, so that will serve as a good blocking force and allow my infantry that we see in the top right now to zoom up to that far right corner and capture the city. Again, just getting APCs back, cycling in infantry into those APCs to be ready to respond. This probe is going to sit on the HQ and serve to block this light infantry from being able to engage my Rangers, or just from preventing any infantry of his from getting on my HQ and starting a capture. And so the probe, which did its job, stopped the capture, it's managed to stay alive, and at this point it's just a bonus unit. I thought honestly that probe would die to some combination of units, but I'm happy to have it alive, and I'll try to repair it up over time. At this point I have to decide what units to build in the next turn. I could continue building more infantry to get a stronger amount of units on the table. I'm looking at using heavy bullets as my end game power, because I don't have a lot of good other powers to use, as my Rangers don't deal a lot of damage versus vehicles. So while range booster is tempting and could be good, saving up longer for that heavy bullets is a better decision. And so here I just did another check on some stats to see how much damage a light mech would do versus gunner, see if I could kill it off with a combination of units. As his gunner's already damaged, it's taken down to 9. I'm pretty sure he's going to bring that gunner out to kill or try to kill that light infantry on my city, which he won't be able to do. I'm also pretty sure that heavy infantry is going to come over and kill my heavy infantry with 3 HP. So I go for the light mech. I have a good base of infantry. It's got support. I'll be able to keep that light mech alive as long as I want to. as long as I don't overcommit it to anywhere. And also, we'll see my opponent's turn coming up here and see how he reacts. At this point, I'm just counting out, making sure this light mech can get to where I want it to be. I get lucky here. He gets surprised that I have that heavy infantry there, which he should have been able to see from the previous turn, so he made an error there. You see he's doing exactly what I thought he would. I move my APC aggressively as I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a unit there, and turns out my risk paid off. I'm able to deal with this group of units on the bottom here as he got trapped with that light mech, which just lets me clean it up with these heavy infantry. I also damage his ranger to make it useless, or just about useless. Getting this light infantry back, it's on a city, it's going to repair. Light mech runs forward, deals with his gunner. Heavy infantry there for the kill. And I got the capture going off in the top right. So everything's pretty much going according to plan at this point in the game. I have to stress though, this whole game I was thinking through things, trying really hard because I was always worried about some surprise play. My opponent did a great job of getting that bottom left city early in the game, and I feel if he got his rangers positioned a little better, he would have had a better shot in this game. He wouldn't have had that pressure to clean off my heavy infantry from his HQ. He could have built up more infantry before feeling he needed to get those more powerful gunner and light mech units out. And you'll notice coming up we're going to skip over turn 10. That's definitely not because I forgot to record it or lost the footage. Not a lot happens on turn 10. It's mostly just me continuing to push. I'm going to clean up this light mech and his ranger there. He's going to push out on the top with a light mech to try to attack my APC. He's going to continue to pressure the APC with that heavy infantry on the mountain, and those units are mostly going to get cleaned up. Give me my power up to 20, so I'll have heavy bullets ready to roll for turn 11. And so here I'm just managing the middle of the map. I have my rangers positioned where they've been positioned for the past couple of turns, controlling things. I secure the top right of the map, and I'm contesting the bottom left. So he really has no area that he controls except his top left corner. We see he has an artillery. It's hidden that forest next to his light mech. Artillery is great on this map, but you really need to earn those more expensive, more powerful units with a base of infantry early in the game. You need to take map control with your infantry, get some rangers to make sure your opponent's not going to spam you with infantry, as a headshot power can be devastating on this map. Rangers in position in the forest on the mountains can decimate a heavy infantry spam or a heavy infantry push and force your opponent to recalculate and fall back and build other units. My opponent wasn't able to get his rangers in position and transition to more powerful units probably before he should have, and now I'm able to get off a heavy bullets power with 4 infantry units loaded into APCs and with some units already in position like these rangers and then heavy infantry in the top right, ready to go, ready to damage his units. So you see there, taking his gunner down to 1 HP. Just going to be nice to my probe here and my light mech. Give them some heals despite them kind of being useless for the rest of the game. See how much this heavy infantry can deal to this light mech here. Probably should have shot it with my ranger first, but you know, at this point in the game it doesn't matter that much. So here's my ranger going for the finishing blow. My other ranger finally doesn't have any targets. So it'd be interesting to see the kill count or the damage count output from that ranger on the mountain. I don't know if any of you are watching. Tally up how many kills or how much damage that ranger put out. I know the artillery's there. Here's the real power of heavy bullets. This 6,500 hit expensive unit gets taken out by a heavy infantry, one shot, no problem. I should say this map is one of my most played maps in Warbits. I think I had a couple tournaments that we played that used this map a few times, and just for whatever reason getting matched up on this map. I enjoy this map. It's pretty dynamic. It gives probes some options. You have this middle area that's pretty fun. And in this game kind of showcases how I like to play it. Build up a base infantry group, heavy infantry to deal some frontal damage, allow those rangers to get in place on the mountains, pressure your opponent's HQ area, and then respond to what their response is. So if they press in on the HQ area, then you can expand out to the top right and bottom left of the map, get more properties, get more income. If they don't respond in the middle, then you have an opportunity to jump in, capture their HQ. And there's some times in this match where you might actually be losing or seemingly losing the top right and the bottom left, but you're able to make this mad dash in the middle, block them out, and capture their HQ. And the APCs are a great way to do that. The APCs can help block the circulation of your opponent's units, get in positions where your opponent doesn't expect them, and then there's not much they can do if they don't have some artillery or light mechs around to really punch through that APC wall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Then my next video I plan to make is either a tier list for the units, or I'm working on a beginner's guide, kind of an intro video with some tips. Give the video a like if you liked it. See you guys around.